Morning, Susanna here from The Good Property Company. Arthur has given me a list of videos that we've been asked to comment on, so I hope these are useful to you, and forgive my shaky camera work. I'm in Copacabana Beach in Rio. One of the ones is what's the key tips in managing your builder, because of course, you know, those relationships can be wonderful or they can go horribly wrong. We've had 2 builders not be great, and then the rest of our builders have all been fantastic. And then I've seen a whole bunch of investors have difficulties with builders as well. So first thing is, it's just the sensible stuff, isn't it? Spec out the project, put it in writing, and have it in writing what you expect them to deliver. And when they give you a quote, there's a difference between an estimate and a kind of a written quote. Then don't just go, quote, here's the quote and here's the money. Actually ask them to quote in writing to exactly the spec that you've given them. So that's the first thing. But of course, to be frank, you might not be the best person to give that spec in the first place, because they actually might be better at speccing. So second thing is, take your initial spec and now spend a couple of hours walking around the property with the builder. Pause, listen more than talk. Say, this is the spec I was thinking about. What are your thoughts on this spec? And the chances are, if they're a good builder with pride in their work, they're going to improve what you suggest. Probably not so much for money, but just for the joy and the kind of pride in doing a really good job. And then take notes on the current spec that you've got, agree what they're going to do, and then rewrite the spec and then give that to them. At that same time, what you're probably likely to do is do things like mark out physically with crosses on the wall where your double sockets are going to go, where your light switches are going to go, where your radiators are going to go. So that's very clear for them and very clear for you. So you've got physical markings on the wall, plus you've rewritten your spec with their further advice. Next thing, contract. You don't need to write this yourself or get a lawyer necessary to write it yourself. There's some JCT, the website, JCT have got some really good small buildings contracts. It just got updated about 2 months ago, so it's brand new. Download that. It's like, I don't know the price, like 34 quid or something like that. And of course, it's an incredibly experienced contract. And then let's talk about actually when they go on site. So agree a start date, and I would just generally give you the advice that you want to be checking in really regularly with builders, because builders who are good are really skilled and interested and enjoy building. You know, the guys that I work best with take huge pride in their work. They didn't become builders who are physical beings in order to sit behind a desk and do paperwork. So that's probably the area you're going to get super frustrated on. Don't. You've got different skills to them, they've got different skills to you, just work together. So now with a very experienced builder, I'll probably only go on site once a week, but with a new build, I would be on site 3 times a week, not being kind of controlly and kind of frustrating and annoying to work with, but just generally saying, where are you at, how are things, what do you need me to do next, what's the next thing that's happening. So I'm kind of trying to get that partner to partner process with the person, rather than standing over them going, oi, what's going on my site? Because they're going to encounter some bumps, they're probably going to have some things they didn't think about, you may need to order some stuff. I mean, generally I get them to order all the kit. I didn't at the beginning, I was the person hanging out at Plum Centre, the desk, ordering the, you know, 1/4 inch elbow and all the rest of it. I now get the guys to order the kit. So I'd go on site 3 times a week at the beginning, just to check that everything's going well. Payment. Staged payments, please, folks. Obviously agree it in the contract. What we tend to like to do in relatively small jobs, like 6 to 12 weeks, 3 stage payments, so 30%, 30%, 30% agreed milestones and dates, with 10% retained for snagging. So you're not going to put all your money up front and get anxious. They are not going to get anxious that you haven't got an agreed date to be paid, so they can plan their cash flow, and you've both agreed that it's 10% for snagging. Snagging. I have seen investors really lose their rag with builders, and that is just never a very good idea. It's also quite rude, and it's also showing a real lack of understanding of how to work with a builder. I expect snagging. Like, it annoys me, it frustrates me, but I kind of look at it this way. There's been a whole bunch of Larry great men banging about in this house. They've tried to make it perfect, but on their retreat, you know, walking backwards out the house, I just expect there's always going to be 1 or 2 things that I'm going to spot. So I kind of don't get stupid cross about it. I just go, right, snagging is a process. As soon as they finished, they're going to want the money. So get that snagging done as fast as you possibly can. Get in, do the snagging, and I have done some videos on snagging for you guys. Write a list and then maybe go back with them. If they're really good, they'll probably identify a few things you haven't even spotted, and then once they've gone back, done the snagging, then you pay them. I think that's about it. Oh, you need to do some obviously check that they're qualified with the kind of overseeing body, you know, like gas safe or whatever that they say. And if you're doing buy to sell, you need to look at CIS, just look it up on the government website. Whereas if you're a landlord, you don't necessarily need to do CIS payments. CIS is just a thing about the government doesn't believe that builders necessarily pay all their tax. So if you're being a property developer, you need to agree the CIS payment with your builder because they may be 0 rated, 20% or 30%. But look it up on the government website, it's a fairly clear website. Right, hope that's helpful. I'm off in Rio. See ya.